on government critics.
How can I commit an offense against the president of the prison?
Issues summons. And then the officer of court is abducted. And the judiciary thinks it is safe. No, you are not safe.
That day is change. One day, he was a son of somebody living in exile.
If at all the party chairman has been arrested, the deputy chairman is around.
Uganda's largest opposition party, the National Unity Platform, is still in a justice quagmire, with some of its leaders and supporters in prison facing different charges, and its principals still out of the country. Activists are increasingly calling out the government on closing space in the political arena and what they call disregarding the rule of law.
So if anybody did this to hurt us, I want to assure that person that we are deeply hurt.
Including lawyers, none of them is safe.
As Parliament, we shouldn't keep quiet on this.
As Uganda moves further into the post-election period, the future of the opposition will likely depend on its ability to rebuild unity, maintain public support, and navigate an increasingly tense political environment. And so we ask, does the current storm reveal a deeper leadership vacuum? This is The Frontline. Frontline.
Yes, it's The Frontline. Welcome. My name is Simon Kagwanjala. It's your Thursday night program, and thank you for tuning in. We're looking at the opposition at a crossroads, having suffered very significant setbacks in the recent elections, defeats that affected quite a number of the big figureheads within the opposition. First with growing state repression, and we're also looking at the poor funding. Now, another problem has emerged. There is an apparent leadership vacuum. The figureheads that have been leading the opposition, 2 are in prison, 1 is out of the country. How deep is the crisis? And the big spotlight that will be shining is on the future of multipartyism in the country amidst all the snares that the opposition is facing. And could there be reason for the country to worry as the opposition is in dire straits? Joining me tonight is Honorable Asuman Basalirwa, former Member of Parliament for Bugiri Municipality, together with Moses Byaruhanga, the special president, senior presidential advisor. Yes, good to have you. And we were expecting Mr. Dennis Enap, lawyer and one of the controversial presidents of the UPC, to join us. But I hope he's still on the way, but we hope he will be joining us. Good to have you both, and a very good evening.
Thank you very much, Simon. Good evening to everybody. I'm happy to be here and to meet Moses after a very long time.
Good to see you, Moses.
Yeah, thank you, Simon.
Honorable Asuman, do you agree there is a deep crisis that has confronted the opposition, and these are very extraordinary times for you?
I'm not so sure what you call crisis. Because if you refer or regard what is happening to some of the key leaders in the opposition as a crisis to the opposition, then I think you are being wrong. You can only talk about a crisis affecting the country. Because what is happening to the leaders really goes beyond them as individuals. And because you ask, how did they find themselves in the situations in which they are? Are they normal circumstances? Are they normal situations? Do you, as a country, do you find it normal that the leaders, some leaders will be in exile, others will be in jail under very extraordinary circumstances. So I don't want anybody to limit it to the leadership of the opposition. I want us to broaden it and look at it in terms of the country.
Okay, is there a national crisis as the opposition navigates murky waters?
Oh, I think there is a crisis that needs to be discussed. And especially in terms of rule of law, in terms of constitutional governance, in terms of respect for each other, in terms of tolerance, living in diversity in its true sense. So, broadly speaking, those are things that have to be interrogated as a country, and they must be discussed.
Are you pushing the narrative of a national dialogue that's been hyped for years?
No, I think that has always been at the table. And you know that prior to the 2016 election, you recall that there was an effort by politicians, civil society, religious leaders who moved around the country. They came up with what was called a Citizens' Compact by then. And one of the things in that compact was a national discussion. A national discussion on the issues that were affecting the country. Those issues still stand. Because, Simon, like it or not, we have, for example, the issue of impunity. Total disregard for the law. It is with us. You can no longer hide from it. And issues to do with the limited political space. Political parties can hardly hold public meetings unless it's an election. But even during elections, there are many restrictions. So, it's not that the call is now for a national discussion. The call has been on for a long time.
Yeah, but before I get to Moses, there's been an argument from the opposition especially that surrendering to talks with government, with your rivals on the other side, is weakness.
No, it was beyond, because if you recall the Citizens' Compact I'm talking about, a national discussion, a political discussion on national consensus was beyond government and opposition. We are looking at it in the broad sense, identify the stakeholders. And I recall we were very deliberate not to reduce it to political players only. We were looking at civil society. We were looking at even having international guarantors of a discussion or a dialogue. So it was really beyond the political class. But even then, I belong to the school of thought that family believes in discussion. And I don't think discussion is weakness. You will discover that many of the issues can actually be resolved through discussion, only if those that are engaged in the discussion take them seriously, they regard others highly.
Well, Moses, do you concur with Honorable Basalirwa's notion that there is a deep national crisis that would warrant serious talks, given what is obtaining to the leaders of the opposition?
What's obtaining to them?
Well, as we speak, Besigye remains incarcerated. Lukwago was also picked in a very nasty and very unpleasant way. Mwanga Chivumbi is also battling. So generally, there is a sense that the state is going hard on the opposition.
No, it depends on what you do. As an individual, not opposition as a group. Because Dr. Besigye is in Ruzira. Prosecution has come out to say they have completed all the investigations. There has been, his lawyers have been filing applications, in my opinion, which are delaying the case. Maybe by now it should have been completed. So you cannot blame it on the state. You can blame it maybe on the judicial system. The state has arrested someone. It says we have evidence of what you were doing, ready to go on with the case. It's not the state which has laid the case. The case has been laid by the system, the legal system, where somebody applies for this, or applies for that, applies for the other. Now, under the law, when there's a main case and there's other applications, the judge has first to get rid of them before he goes to the main case. So now, from your question, it's as if the state is just harassing Besigye. No, it's not. Besigye is in jail for the allegations against him.
Do you see anything
they have to be
political
answered.
persecution?
No. It's not political persecution. It's not persecution. In fact, those delays are the one making it as if it was political persecution. It is not political persecution. There is a case against him. Let it be heard and it be disposed of. Either he wins or the state wins.
Okay. What is fundamental apparently is that the leading opposition figures are incarcerated. Besigye, Lukwago was abducted in the most unsightly manner, and today is facing charges. What do you make of this?
No, as I said, Besigye is not incarcerated. Besigye is in his jail of something. He's accused of treason. So it's a question, and the state has said we are done with our investigations. We are ready to proceed. Now you cannot blame it on the state. But his lawyers have been filing applications, which, in my opinion, are laying the case. So let us wait for the judicial system to complete. Now the case is before court. Let the judge, in his wisdom, handle those applications. I think there are 16 of them as of now. And what he comes up with is what we'll take. Let them defend what the state has against Besigye. He has so many lawyers he has lined up who are defending him. So I wouldn't now blame the state on that, because being an opposition leader, you must also behave in such a way that you don't breach the law. If you breach the law, you will not be left just because you are a leader of opposition.
Or could it be that the state is using the law to oppress the opposition?
No. You see, I've told you, the state has arrested, yes, Besigye was arrested. The prosecution is saying we are ready with a case to proceed, and they are using the legal system, the lawyers, to file applications. Now it's incumbent upon the judge to do away with those applications and not the main case.
To what extent
so you can't blame the state?
The opposition is being escapist in attaching or connecting their grievances to the state?
Well, like which one?
They say it is because of the state that the opposition is where it is at the moment.
No way. We have just been in an election at the local government level, at the parliamentary level, and at the presidential level. 3 elections within one. So people came up as independents, as supporters of NRM, supporters of different political parties, offering candidates, and the results, Ugandans know what happened. Now, so if you cannot now say the state is because look here in Kampala, where at least I know what happened, because most of the time I was here during the campaigns and before the campaigns. In the 2021 election, the NRM we got 122,000 votes in Kampala. We got around 123,000 votes in Wakiso. Come the last election, Wakiso, we got 180,000 votes. In Kampala, we got about 200,000 votes. Better performance. And if you consider in the areas where the opposition had performed well in 2021, we performed much better this time around. And now, would you blame that on NRM, that they did well? Because the mobilization was more intense, the situation was different. We were addressing issues which we noticed made us perform poorly in 2021, and this time performed much better. Now, just getting out of an election like that one, if you go to the councillors, for instance, in Kampala, almost, apart from Rubaga, all the division councillors, the majority are NRM. In the other 4 divisions.
Okay.
So it was a better performance.
And there is another reality.
For
the
us,
leading opponent to President Museveni fled the country after elections.
Yeah.
Doesn't that speak to a crisis?
It's not a crisis.
He was being hounded.
I don't think so, because we have been having talks over that matter, on that issue. I don't want to go into, but I know at least during election time, everybody was free to offer themselves, and they did so. And Ugandans made a choice. I'll give you an example, like here in Kampala, where the performance was almost double compared to 2021 and 2026. The same more or less for Akiso.
Robert Kyagulanyi, Bobi Wine, is exiled because of state repression.
Which repression?
He says he was being hounded by the state.
That's what he says. He says that, and he's saying, no, he's not being hounded. So are you the judge now? He says he's being hounded. The state is not saying we're not hounding him.
So for weeks, his house was under siege by the state, infrastructure, army infrastructure.
But now they withdrew. They're not there anymore. Are you sure?
So?
They're not there anymore.
What does that mean?
Yeah, but you see, if the state is looking for you, you offer yourself, and then if there's any case, they charge you. You don't have to run away.
Well, Honorable Basalirwa, Moses seems to suggest that you're just creating scapegoats in accusing government of what you're going through.
Now, let's begin looking at individual situations. We'll begin with the situation of the Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi. By the time he fled the country, his house, he was under house arrest. He could neither get out nor get in. In fact, we could neither get in nor get out. In fact, time came when even visitors to his home were stopped, were blocked, including the closest family members. You recall at one time, his brothers and sisters attempted to access the home. They were blocked by security. That, Moses, is not normal. It is not. So he had well-founded fear. And you cannot say that his fleeing the country was done because conditions were good here. He fled the country because actually he was being hounded.
Yeah, but when you reminisce on the old times, there was a time when Besigye fled the country, but business continued. The opposition remained vibrant. How come that now that the leaders are away, opposition stands on a very shaky ground?
No, I think before we get there, I first want us to address the individual situations, and therefore, because according to Moses, there is no problem. And I want to argue that there is actually a problem. And I thought I would begin discussing the issue, the individual situations. The Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi fled the country. At the time of fleeing, he was under house arrest. My big brother Moses says, if the state wants you, why don't you avail yourself? That's what he says. I want to say, if the state wants you, they summon you. You are summoned. Either there are court summons or police summons. So somebody is neither summoned by court nor police. The Honorable Kyagulanyi, all the time he was in his home under house arrest, he had not been summoned by court or police. So if the state was really If the state had cases against the Honorable Kyagulanyi, they would have summoned him. They didn't, but instead they decided to create a blockade around his home, which really is very unfortunate, and it's a human rights issue. You recall Dr. Kizza Besigye was under similar restrictions about 10-15 years ago. We had to go to court, and the court made a pronouncement. Court said you cannot keep somebody in their home. People's homes are not prisons. If you have issues against a person, take them to court. So what you witnessed in Magere at that time by the state and state operatives was actually a violation of a court order in a previous situation or scenario.
Right.
I'll go to the case of Dr. Besigye. Again, Simon says, Moses says, this is a case before court. We agree. And don't complain about applications. What are the circumstances that, the circumstances prior to his arrest? Oh, how did he get arrested? I have talked to Dr. Besigye. I've been to Luzira. Some of these issues, we have raised them in Parliament. Simon, the manner in which Dr. Besigye and Hajo Beduta were picked from Nairobi to here in itself raises constitutional issues. It raises legal issues. That must be resolved first before you look at the trial of their case.
Right.
And before you resolve that, you cannot talk about a fair trial. Our courts here, in many cases, obviously the jurisprudence is changing, but I'll tell you that our courts here have said before that a trial tainted by human rights violations is a nullity. I'll give you an example. The famous case of the Uganda riots, Uganda versus Robert Sekabira and 18 others. That case was dismissed because court said, when you are prosecuting a case, but the process of investigation, arrest, there were human rights violations, the trial is in itself a nullity. Dr. Besigye himself, you remember the treason cases far much earlier. The Constitutional Court itself did say a trial tainted with human rights violations is a nullity. Now, Erias Lukwago and the legal team, Martha Karua and the others, are trying to bring to the attention of court the series of human rights violations that preceded the arrest. And if court is alive to them, the case can be dismissed on those preliminary points without necessarily going into the merits. So, you cannot blame the lawyers for filing application after application, because those applications have a bearing on the main case.
Right.
I agree, but that's what I'm saying. For me, I was answering Simon that the state has presented its case. Yes, the lawyers of Besigye have raised those applications. Now it's upon the judge, the judicial system, to deal with them.
I don't want us to dwell so much on the legalities.
To deal with them.
Yes, on the legalities.
Because you are raising, Simon, you are saying it is a political persecution. I said no, it's not persecution. The case is before court. I agree with what Asuman has said, that there are filed applications. They will let those applications be dealt with by the judge.
Okay, let's unpack what political persecution means in this case.
No, I think what I'm laboring to explain actually speaks to the political persecution. It's what I'm laboring to explain. That you have a presidential candidate, you keep them under house arrest, you are not summoning them to court, you are not summoning them to police, you are not allowing them freedom of exit in their homes, you are not allowing freedom of entry. You are blocking their guests, including close family members. Okay? There cannot be any logical explanation of persecution beyond that. So that is one aspect of it. Number two is what I'm explaining regarding the situation of Dr. Kizza Besigye and Hajo Beduta. The manner in which they were picked from Nairobi. And he's been able to explain it, by the way. Himself. He's been able to explain it. Simon, Do you know, for example, that Dr. Kizza Besigye's passport has no stamps to indicate that when he went out of Uganda, that he returned in this country by immigration? The stamps are not there. And at the level of Parliament, those are some of the issues we did raise at that time.
Yeah, but fast forward. Does this speak to the magnitude of the crisis at hand?
No, and I'm getting to that. Because as I said, I want to discuss some of the individual cases for you to understand that there is no way you are going to divorce political persecution from all these processes. Yeah. Look at the case of Lord Mayor Emeritus. Lord Mayor Emeritus, the man of his arrest. Again, whatever lenses you want to apply, the manner of his arrest offended all laws governing arrests. Why do we have to go to that level, to that extent?
Legally. So do you call it arrest or kidnap?
So I don't. I don't even, because you see, in law, an arrest, the law describes how an arrest is done. First of all, Simon, if you are interested in Basalirwa, go to police. Ask police to investigate and issue summons. Police will issue summons. Now, if you are not, you can even go a notch higher. After police has done investigations, they can go to court. Then court will issue summons to somebody to appear. Now, if you are to carry out an arrest, you go, like in this situation of the Lord Mayor Emeritus, call him or go to their home, his home, introduce yourselves, explain the purpose, say you are under arrest in the language they understand, afford them an opportunity to access to inform their lawyers, their personal doctors, and if there is no resistance, you are not even supposed to handcuff a suspect if there is no resistance. But if there is resistance and force, then the arresting officers are under an obligation to apply proportional.
Okay, the big argument has always been that the leaders of opposition are not above the law. And now it is the law at work, not politics.
No. You see, we are complaining about violation of the law. It's not that leaders of the opposition are above. We are complaining about violations of the law. And these violations go beyond. It doesn't matter whether they are done to leaders of opposition or ordinary Ugandans. Our concern should really be respect for the law. And that is why arguments of political persecution come in.
But you see, Simon.
Yes.
You see, if you go into legalities also, sometimes you lose a point or you miss a point. Basically, could have been, if they didn't stamp into his passport, why? We could say, I will consider that a small matter. But that notwithstanding, the question is, does the state have evidence against him on what is being accused of? Because I'm sure by now, the prosecution has shared with the defense what they have. But the Basalirwas are avoiding all of that. They are going for these minor issues. You know, his passport was not stamped. But why is he there in the first place? The state is saying we have this A, B, C, D against you. Can you come and argue against them in court? Yes, let's wait for the processes to end. As the Basalirwa said, they have raised those preliminary objections, application and so forth. Now, for that process to have taken this long, we can't blame it on the state. Because the state has said, I'm ready for prosecution. Now, the applications have come up, fine. It's now incumbent upon the judge to deal with them. I don't want to dwell so much on the legalese, but the big argument has always been... But when it's talking about them, you keep quiet. When you don't have legalese, you don't dwell. Okay. It's okay. Proceed. So the point I'm raising is that it's now in the hands of the judge, not to the state. So we are not persecuting Besigye or any other person. But so let the court system, which we believe in, deal with the matter as is.
Would you take away the argument that state repression is now at its peak, with the CDF vowing to crush the opposition?
Well, I haven't heard that from him. I'll have to discuss it with him. Because as far as I'm concerned, the opposition, you see, for instance, Basalirwa was talking about dialogue. For me, the best dialogue was done in 1994. First of all, during the Odoki Commission, when it was gathering views on the new constitution for Uganda, they went around the country, people submitted the views, they wrote a very big document which was presented to the Constituent Assembly, which was chaired by the late Wapakabulo. It took about a year or thereabout to complete the Constitution and to have it promulgated. To me, that was a national dialogue for the country. Later, we had the Sempewa Commission, which went around the country also, I think around 2003, 2004, during that time. They presented their report, which was discussed by Parliament, and amendments were made in the Constitution. That has been, because now if you say a dialogue, my question has always been who goes to the dialogue? Because Ugandans have elected through different elections, including Hon Basalirwa when he was in Parliament. So our parliamentarians, our national leaders, the dialoguers, there's no any other matter you would want the dialogue to handle, which Parliament cannot handle.
Yeah, but Moses.
Yeah.
There was once a proclamation by President Museveni to crush that there will be no opposition by 2021. Is it now coming to pass?
No, for politicians, you deal with you would say make any statement that I will deal with the opposition and make sure that we defeat them, and he has defeated them with 71%. Isn't that a crash? We went to the vote. Did you vote, Kagwa? Me, I voted. So that was a crash on the opposition. It's political. It's not physical, but it's political crash. You go, you see, politics is about answering people's interests. Throughout the years, I've worked with President Museveni for many years, he has been addressing the interests of Ugandans. For instance, like in these last 5 years and even before, one of his focus has been socioeconomic transformation of the people of Uganda, getting people in the money economy. As we talk now, only 33% of Ugandans are outside the normal economy, but practically it is less than that. Although the 2024 census came out with 33%, but since then, through programs like PDM, from 2024 we have reached out to about 2 million households through PDM. So the numbers could have come down, but whichever the number is, the target of President Museveni has been how do I get these Ugandans out of poverty? They all go into a money economy. And when the Ugandans are in the money economy, like in the other PDM, when they earn profits from their projects, they spend on consumption. Well, when they are spending on consumption, they are helping the economy move forward.
Thank you. Honorable Asuman, the opposition has always been accused of being dismissive towards remarks, for instance, from the president. He pronounced himself on getting the opposition diminished and totally cleared out. Do you think you're now on the road to extinction as multipartism fades?
Well, I don't think we've been dismissive. When Mr. Museveni and the NRM make a statement that you'll be crushed, I don't think any of us, the political players in the opposition, would take it lightly. I don't think anybody has taken it lightly. The attitude of this regime, the NRM generally, on the opposition has largely been negative. And you only need to look at the history. When they came to power in 1986, one of their first pieces of legislation was legal notice number 1, banning political parties. We came up with, in the 1995 Constitution, they introduced what was called a movement political system. There was even a movement act. In that act, every adult Ugandan was supposed to be a member of the movement, including those who are fighting government like Kony. Kony was also a member of the movement by virtue of that law. Subsequently, there was pressure. And when we came into the referendum to open up political space in 2005, you recall the statements that were made by Mr. Museveni.
The referendum was 2000.
No, I'm talking about return to multipartyism in 2005. The statements by Mr. Museveni were very clear. He said he was tired of going to the Western countries and they were over asking him about opening up the space to allow political parties. He said as a result, let's open up to Vejeko. That's the statement he used, to Vejeko. So it's not that he did it out of, out of will or love for political pluralism. It was a way of answering or responding to pressure from the West. In his own words, he said it to
2 decades later,
now
parties are crumbling.
No, I am now getting to where you are. Now, progressively, we get into multipartyism, 2005. We enact the Political Parties and Organizations Act. Parties get registered. But along the way, we also enact the Public Order Management Act. The Public Order Management Act sought to regulate public meetings. It had provisions that offended the Constitution. The Constitutional Court nullified it. Of greater interest to you and the viewers is that police, we are told that they didn't have powers to stop public meetings, that they didn't have powers to give permission to hold public meetings. Because that's what the Public Order Management Act was saying.
So your road to oblivion started the day you were allowed to operate.
You could say so. Now, when the Constitutional Court nullified provisions under the Public Order Management Act, an attempt was made. They first nullified provisions in the Penal Code Act. Mwanga Chivumbi versus Attorney General. He went to court to challenge sections of the Police Act. When those provisions were nullified by the Constitutional Court of the Police Act, government came with another law called the Public Order Management Act to try and bring provisions in that act that had been nullified in the Police Act. The Constitutional Court said, no, this is a reincarnation. The word they used, that this is a reincarnation. And they struck it down. Now, from that time up to now, police is not clothed with authority to give permission or to disallow a public meeting. And procedurally, what happens is that if you want to have a public meeting, you go and have an engagement with the police. I told you the other day in Parliament, I was saying, you write to them. The police does not have a received stamp. And remember, if you want to hold a public meeting in a cupboard, you have to write to the IGP. The DPC or RPC will tell you it is only the IGP to authorize the meeting. So you have to move all the way from Kabale or Arua, bring the letter here. And when you bring the letter, I'm now telling you the obstacles as a practitioner. When you bring the letter, they will receive it and register. On your copy, you will not have any evidence that the letter was received. So when you go back for the public meeting, the DPC or OC station will say, give us evidence that you wrote and the letter was received. And you don't have evidence. And one time I did ask in Parliament whether a received stamp was too expensive for police to acquire.
But Simon.
Yes.
I don't know what my colleague is dwelling about. Because you see, there must be order in the country. He spoke about the police not allowing you to hold a public meeting and so forth. I have discussed some of these matters with especially our friends from the Western world. I don't know of a country, a democracy, in the Western Europe or the Western, what you call Western world, where you can just go, or for instance, on the streets and say we are demonstrating because we have a constitutional right. Police has to come in. In fact, in some of the states, in some of the countries, no, it has to come in. First of all, you must agree with them. You cannot just say we're going into Kampala Road or we're going on Oxford Street in London, and for us, we have just informed you, we are going, whatever, whether you like it or not, for us, we are going there. Never. In fact, in other polities, like USA, you can hold, if you're going to hold a demonstration, you have even to inform them how many are you, from what time to what time, who is the leader. In case of anything goes wrong, who takes responsibility? You have to work with the police. But the Basalirwa want kind of an anarchy. For us, we can go anywhere, do whatever you want to do because it's a democracy. I have not seen it happen anywhere in the world, where you can just go and do what you want to do on roads, on public places, inconveniencing other users of that space, if it is a road or if it is a market, and say, me, I'm going, since I have a constitutional right. Yes, you have a constitutional right, but others also have rights who are not agreeing with you. So, you might, if there are few challenges within the legal system, but politically, we must have order in the country, and somebody must enforce that order, and that person is the police.
Okay. In your analysis,
yeah,
do you see the opposition headed for dark times?
No, they just need to do the right thing, tell people. For instance, like in the last election, I remember I've been saying it on many platforms. If you don't address the issues of the people, and if the people are not dense, Ugandans are not dense, they know who tells them the right thing. Like when Bobby Wine was in Usoga, I think at the beginning of the campaigns, he said he's going to abolish PDM. And people are like, what? You're going to abolish PDM? This program is helping us. How are you going to help the population? So if you don't address the issues of affecting the people will go against you. And then the NRM will continue surviving and getting bigger and bigger.
Well,
because see, they are failing to address the interests of the people.
As we take a very short break, there is also this argument that the opposition has been her own enemy. One, you created this thing called the big man syndrome, and that is why today there is a leadership vacuum. When the big men are away, the opposition malfunctions. Do you agree?
Well, I don't agree with you. Neither do I agree with anybody advancing that argument.
The big man syndrome.
There is no vacuum. When you look at these political parties, they have constitutions, they have structures.
Yeah, but when the big men are away, there is malaise.
Well, I don't know what you call malaise. Let's look at the specific cases. When Honorable Robert Chagulanyi was under house arrest and eventually fled the country, the deputies took charge. As we speak now, Zedriga is in charge of the party.
Who is that?
The vice president of NUP. Eh? So, Moses wants
Moses, you want to claim you don't know Lina.
Moses wants to pretend.
Zedriga.
Moses
you
wants
don't
to
know
pretend.
Lina? Who?
That
Lina Zedriga.
Moses,
No,
I don't know him.
Whether he knows her or not.
I don't know.
Whether he knows her or not.
It's him or her.
No, whether he knows her or not, Simon. I am responding to your issue that there is no virtue. These political parties have constitutions that have very clear administrative structures.
Okay, there is paralysis.
What happens, even the paralysis you are talking about, is just a figment of your own imagination. In these political parties and their structures, when the president is not around, the constitution will tell you that the vice president takes charge. If the vice president is not around, the constitution will tell you who takes charge. Today, I've been, even yesterday, I saw my brother Lulu Mebaiga, who is one of the vice presidents in PPF, taking leadership in the PFF, taking leadership in the absence of Honorable Erias Lukwago and Dr. Kiza Besigye. So it is actually factually incorrect.
Okay. Has the incarceration of Besigye, Lukwago, Mwanga Chivumbi in a way crippled the opposition?
Well, I don't know whether you want to mean having an effect. Definitely, when an organization is denied of key leaders in one way or the other, there is an effect. But that does not in itself mean there is paralysis or malaise or a crisis as you want to portray it. Because you see, the other day, Mr. Museveni said he was the only person with a vision in this country. I don't think any of us in the opposition want to create an impression that without a few individuals, there is no opposition.
Well, we want to take a break, but do you think, Moses, that Uganda suffers from the big man syndrome across the political aisle?
Well, see, leadership, by the time anybody gives you leadership for their group, they definitely believe in you. So, and leaders, like in our case, the NRM, President Museveni plays a very big role as a leader.
Can NRM stand without President Museveni?
Yes, it can, but for now, we are happy that we have him.
Welcome back. It's still the front line as we ask whether the current situation the opposition is trapped in reveals a deepening leadership crisis. Well, Moses, there have been quite a number of factors that have crippled the opposition. On one part, the state has gone ahead to push for a new law on funding of political parties, conscripting the National Unity Platform into the IPOD arrangement. And there is a bit of a tug of war on this. Do you think the lack of funding is also affecting the opposition?
I think you're using wrong words. Conscripting. See, Hon Basalirwa has been in Parliament. They passed, I don't know whether he was in that Parliament which passed the law on IPOD, but be it as it may, whether he was there or not, there is a law which requires that the government helps fund parties depending on the number of MPs. The sharing formula of the number of MPs you have in Parliament. So it's not a conscription, it's a law. That notwithstanding, I think at one stage, NUP pulled out of IPOD, but now they have now on their own willingly applied to come back to work with IPOD. And I'm sure when the processes are done with, they will also receive money like any other party has been receiving money from IPOD, depending on the strengths you have in Parliament. So,
and then the sovereignty law that restricts their acquisition of money from abroad.
If you look at it from another angle, I don't see any party outside, like in Western Europe, whose laws would allow you to receive money from outside your country. It's never there. For instance, the Republican Party in America cannot receive money if you are a candidate from anywhere outside America and you are not dealt with. It's never done. It's never like that. So we need also to look at comparative politics. In Europe also, you are a candidate.
So they have been thriving with funding from abroad.
If you are in Europe, you're a Labour Party, a Conservative Party, you cannot receive money from someone who can go in Uganda and it's received. It's not allowed. So the parties must be funded by their own members or by the government, like we are doing. So if the government, yes, is doing some funding, it's not enough. During campaigns, people fundraise, and I'm sure Hon Asuman Basalirwa here will tell you, as having been a member of parliament or still a politician, they get good willing people who support them in the political programs within the country, not outside the country. If you're going to get outside the country, it is illegal, and it has been now outlawed, so that's sort of into bill. Maybe it was late to do that law. But from experiences, I've not heard of a country, a democracy outside Uganda, where their political activities, of party activities, of campaign activities, are funded by outsiders.
Well, Honorable Basalirwa, there's this big elephant called repression. Do you think it's now at its peak and there is cause to worry as players in the opposition?
Well, I don't think you can talk about a peak. I only see a continuation of the same. The NRM regime has been synonymous with the repression right from inception. And I don't want anybody to think that we are at the peak. Since when did we live when there was no repression? At any one time, at least in the NRM era.
How come this time you've been subdued?
No, it's not. Well, I don't know why you are calling it subduing. Simon, at one time, you remember in 2011, opposition politicians, there was a time when almost 90% of opposition politicians were in jail. Then time came, again around that time, when all of us were out on bail. Because I remember that time, I was arrested, taken to Luzira, Mayanja Chibirige, Dr. Besije, and the others. Others who didn't go to prison, at least we are given bail, and we're all moving around on bail. So I don't recall any one time, at least in the era of the NRM, that there has not been limited operational
What has
space.
made the current times unique compared to the past?
I don't see any uniqueness. Maybe the only difference could be in terms of, publicity, awareness, and social media. Otherwise, whatever is happening now has happened before. We've been talking about house arrests. Are they beginning now?
Yeah, but this is unprecedented. Leaders of the opposition are in prison. The other one is out in exile.
Yes, there was also a time here when some opposition leaders were in exile and others were out on bail. So there is, in my view, there is absolutely nothing new. The disrespect for constitutionalism and rule of law has been on for some time. You are talking about, for example, brutal arrests. You remember how Dr. Besije was arrested around the Mulago roundabout? The brutality by Arinetwe, was he called Bwana Arinetwe? And the others. So these are things we've been witnessing. At one time, maybe the younger generation may not know, there was a time of pink water here. Any public meeting would be met with pink water. There was a time of the police, the canine department of police would move with dogs to disperse meetings.
So it's an exaggeration to say that the opposition is now living in a crisis and parties are on the brink of collapse.
No, you see, it has been the desire of the regime that parties collapse. But you see, parties in Uganda like Iran, the Republic of Iran, you will put it under sanctions, it will survive. Political parties here have been in some form of sanctions, if I can use that term. Sanctions in terms of the fact that they cannot receive funding, they cannot hold public meetings, they cannot engage the citizenry. But they will continue to survive. In fact, it takes me back to the statement that Mr. Museveni made that he will crush the opposition. Mr. Museveni is incapable of crushing the opposition because the opposition is not the leaders. What you call opposition is actually ideas. There is no way you can crush an idea because an idea will germinate in very many people. Basalirwa can die. You can decide to arrest all the leaders. You can imprison them. You can lure some of them on your side. But the ideas people stand for cannot be crushed. So I think even if all of us went away, there will be another team of Ugandans to carry the alternative ideas of Ugandans. And that's what we call opposition.
Okay. Where things stand now, with leaders away and parties,
some leaders away,
parties in a semblance of a limbo, where are you headed?
I don't know why you are very much interested in pushing us to the limbo. Simon, the survival of political parties is not only hinged on the leaders who are either out or in jail. I think in the words of Haji Naduli, when Haji Naduli wanted to say you're undermining me or trivializing the issue, would say, don't smallerize the issue. So I don't want you to smallerize political parties. That you see, simply because some of our leaders are away, therefore we are in limbo. We recognize and appreciate the gaps, the absence, our leaders, the effect of the absence of our leaders. But that does not in any way mean that the political parties are in limbo or there is a crisis. Those who are outside are continuing to execute the functions. There is a functional opposition in parliament. Look, the other day, let me finish. The other day, the leader of opposition called a meeting in parliament, providing leadership. Today, there was a meeting of political leaders.
I remember the flamboyant opposition then that would sit together as colleagues, brainstorm, come out, mobilize. I think that's now history.
Well, I don't want to call it history. Just today, I think we are getting back there. Just today, there was a meeting at Katonga, PFFF offices, where leaders came together to engage on the situation in the country. And I'm very sure those engagements will continue. I'm very sure the public will be very interested in seeing the opposition leaders coming together and having engagements on the way forward. So I don't want anybody to imagine that really we are in limbo. The absence of our colleagues, our leaders, definitely has an impact. But that does not mean there is a virtue. Because these leaders, these political parties as institutions, they have governance structures.
If you were to do a reality check on the opposition, what kind of opposition is in Uganda at the moment? And how does it compare to the past episodes of the opposition that you've had?
Well, the opposition in Uganda has always been weak. And the weakness is a result, or it's a bit structural in the sense that, you see, if you read the history of political parties in the world, parties got formed around, crystallizing around ideas. In the case of Uganda and most of Africa, parties got formed around identity of tribe, of religion. That's why in the past DP was formed, for instance, as a party of Catholics, UPC, mainly Protestants, and so forth. So those were weak grounds for parties to survive. A party could survive in Europe, where parties first formed after the Industrial Revolution, were based on ideas. The conservatives who wants to maintain a status quo versus the labor movements which came up trying to fight for better working conditions and so forth. That's how you had the formation of the conservatives on one side and the labor or liberal parties on the other side. And in most of them, there were two-party formations. If you look at the USA, you'll find the Republicans were of a certain political ideology, and also the Democrats of the other ideology. But here in Uganda, you have 30, 40 parties. What are these ideas? Are they based on, really? What is the difference between the NUP and the PFF and the DP and all the others?
They're fronts.
Basically. So what is the ideological stand between them? Which differentiates
Have you allowed them? Have you allowed them?
It's not allowing them. The ideas don't, as you say, you can't allow ideas. The ideas are there for form. Somebody would say, we stand on this. On taxation, we stand on this. On development, we stand on this idea. And people will say, okay, this one is saying that's the truth. But if you're just there moving around, oh, so you people, human rights, ABCD, everybody's talking about the same thing, but they're different people. So they should be one. I would, in fact, if you wanted to have opposition in Uganda, in fact, like here we're talking about opposition as if they are one, but they are not one. They are like 20 or so many parties.
Okay. Has there been an effort by government to allow political parties to thrive?
The fact that Basalirwa will form will be in Nijema, somebody is in the PFF, they formed it recently, last year, and they had it registered, and others and these other parties. So what else would government need to do to help them make one? They would have formed one party. When PFF was forming as PFF last year, why didn't they call the other than say let's form one group? You remember, is it when Samogere, they were having this group in Rubaga, trying to come out, come out with one candidate. They always fail because each one wants to be the leader. They don't crystallize around ideas. That's why I say they are weak. They don't crystallize around ideas. If they were having one idea or same ideas on how different they are from NRM in leading Uganda forward, maybe they will be strong. So, but now you have this one, the other one, and they say, but what is the difference between you and the other? It's not there. We will say Museveni again, but Museveni doesn't go anywhere because Ugandans see a lot in him. Because now, when you say NRM, for instance, you talk about socio-economic transformation, getting Ugandans out of poverty. You in PFF, what are you saying? You in NUP, what are you saying? Is there anything different you are telling Ugandans? You go to the public. That's why public now are saying we are giving Museveni 71% because he has come out with ideas of which and people see themselves in them. If somebody says, I want to get you out of poverty, and we have started with these programs like PDM, notwithstanding some of the challenges you find there, we have some of the challenges, but the crystal idea is that Ugandans should be helped to get out of poverty. What are the advantages of programs like PDM, programs like Myoga, programs like surrounding increasing the size of the economy and so forth. But you never get the other side giving the alternative or agreeing with you, and maybe they said we shall do PDM better. For instance, I said earlier, when Bob Wine was in Usoga at the beginning of the campaigns, when he said he's going to abolish PDM. Now, instead of saying maybe, yes, PDM, in other words, what program did he have of getting Ghana out of poverty? Nothing. But he said, if you had said, yes, PDM is good, but NRM is doing it poorly, we're doing it badly, it gives an alternative. That will be understood by the population. But if you come out and say, I'm going to abolish PDM.
I want to take you back. 3 key political leaders are in prison.
Yeah, because of their own actions. How long are you going to talk about that? If Besigye made mistakes, he has been arrested, let the court process proceed.
Okay.
If Mwanga Kivumbi made whatever he's accused of in Butambala, let's just wait for the court process to...
Okay.
Because
doesn't this expose government as being repressive towards the opposition?
No. Now, nobody is going to say, because you are in opposition, you breach the law, they leave you, because if we attach you, it shall be repressive. No. Kogwa, please, wake up. Basically, goes and commits crimes. Somebody goes and commits crimes. Should we leave them because they are opposition? Because if you touch them, it will be repression? No.
Well, Honorable Basalirwa, it's been 2 decades down the road. Do you get a sense that the experiment of multipartyism has been failed dismally, and perhaps it's time to rethink the foundation on which you're sitting?
First of all, you have to contextualize your question within the circumstances under which political parties operate in this country. I don't know how best we can survive under the present conditions. The legal, political, and operational restrictions that obtain. So,
legal,
political, and operational restrictions. I can tell you that...
Unpack this.
Yes, I will. I'll tell you that given the circumstances, we are really doing well. Anybody in our situation would tell you that it is very difficult to run a political party in this country under the current circumstances, to identify yourself as a member of an opposition political party. On the side of the political, restrictions, you know what? The attitude. There is no political will from the leadership to allow parties to thrive. It is just not there.
Did you ever expect them to be better than this?
Well, whether we expected them to be better or not, that is what is obtaining. So if you're passing judgment or you're making judgment against us, I also want you to look at the political conditions under which we survive. Look at the legal restrictions. The restrictions, for example, on funding from abroad will extremely make it difficult for political parties to have resources to survive. Look at the operational restrictions. I'm now unpacking. The attitude and how police behaves if you seek to have a public meeting. And earlier on, Moses was talking about the involvement of police. We agree. Because the cardinal role of police is to keep law and order. I don't think anybody would want to distance police from matters of public order management. All we call for is respect for the law. Because the police itself cannot be the law. And when the courts make pronouncements on matters of the law, it is only logical that police should respect those pronouncements.
Yeah, but there is a new pronouncement now to decimate the opposition further. You've heard, first it was the president, now it is the CDF. Hell-bent on saying there will be no opposition anymore.
No, let me tell you, it is only the Almighty who can take us, all of us, away, and therefore, in effect, take us all the ideas. For anybody to imagine that they can destroy or crush the opposition means that they have authority to lead to the end of the world. Because as I say, the opposition is about ideas. It's not individuals. That's why, historically, we've had opposition members either giving up or joining Mr. Museveni or even dying. But the opposition is here. There was a time, with due respect, when the late Alhaji Nasantege Sebagala was the face of the opposition. May Allah be pleased with his deeds. He was the face of the opposition. When he crossed and joined Mr. Museveni, the opposition did not come to an end. Other people took the mantle from him. There was a time when the late Aguragori was a firebrand opposition politician. When he crossed and joined Mr. Museveni, everybody thought it was the end of the opposition. It was not.
Then there used to be a united opposition. Today it is a shadow of its own self.
No.
There is internal squabbling, there is suspicion, there is growing strife amongst yourselves.
Well, that will always be there. Are you saying NRM, which is a party in power, does not have internal strife? So those will always be there.
But it's now at a new level that you cannot relate. For instance, you can never relate with the National Unity Platform.
How?
You saw what they did for you. They went and decampaigned you in Bujiri.
Yes, but they had a candidate there. So are you saying they shouldn't have fielded a candidate against me? Because, by the way, before you talk about the opposition, there
used to be a united spirit of political parties.
No, you see, and again I want to disagree with Moses. Moses was saying that parties don't have ideology. You don't see the ideas. At an institutional level, political parties enjoy what we call institutional autonomy. They can decide to cooperate with others. They can decide not to cooperate. That's part of the institutional autonomy.
But that's not ideology.
No, I am coming to that. By the way, the word ideology in itself is a very elastic word. Very elastic. There are political parties that are uni-ideological. For example, Uganda Federal Alliance. Uni-ideological. Here you have the ecological party. Uni-ideological. Then, yes, uni-ideological. There is an ecological party here. There is a Federal Alliance here.
You see, those are not ideological parties.
No, they are. You are not going to take it away from them. Then you have those that describe themselves.
The nomenclature is the ideology.
No. You are going to take them. You are going to, because ideology is an English word. What are you basically talking about? So I don't want to agree with anybody who says political parties in Uganda don't have ideology. I don't agree with that. Just like I don't agree with anybody who says that political parties in Uganda have no ideas. If you want to know that political parties have ideas, you just read their manifestos.
But Basalirwa, how the question I raised, first of all, I gave the political history of parties like in Europe was based as the economy grew. After the French Revolution, you got those who wanted status quo, mainly the conservatives, and those who wanted change. All these were based on how best to survive. The workers wanted better salaries. The owners of means of production wanted the lower salaries so that they get higher profits. And that's what formed the conservatives and the liberals. Even when you go to, and most of Europe, the formation was two-party system. Go to America, two-party system with the Republicans and the Democrats, based on those original ideas. Now, see here, so now if you ask a liberal, like a Labour Party person in most of European countries, what is their view on this, it will be more or less the same. Now, and the difference between, say, conservatives and the liberals on issues will be clear. Now, here, if you asked about the difference between the PFF and the NUP and the JEMA and the ones we are mentioning, which some have never heard about them. The ecological party, whatever.
The same way you said you've never heard about Linda Zedriga.
I've never heard about
I was ashamed.
Not to be ashamed. Why do I hear about Linda Zedriga?
No,
I've never heard about him or her. Whatever.
Obviously, Moses is lying.
No, I've never. I'm telling you the truth. But anyway, the point here is.
So you're oblivious of what happens in the leading opposition?
No, I know there are people there. Like I have heard about Bobby Wine. I've heard about Senyonyi. I've met with Senyonyi on platforms like this. He's a leader before he became a leader of opposition. And the others, I've met them. But I've never heard that vice president you're talking about. I've heard about Manga Kivumbi, I've heard about the others, I've heard about before he came here. I've known Basalirwa for a long time. So
I see the pan here. You want to think
wait. The point I'm raising.
I think this is very deep.
No, what the point I'm raising. What is the difference between, say, JEMA and NUP or and PFF?
You want him to take
in terms of ideas. You say, NUP, for them they have this idea. For us in JEMA, our idea is this from them. What they always say.
For now, do ideas matter, or for now it's about change?
They should matter.
It is change.
But if you
change is there.
Now you confuse Ugandans. That's why we defeat you. Because you are telling everyone wants change, but the one who is going to be the leader for change.
Perhaps Asuman, you tell us.
You see, Simon, if you say everyone wants change, and we are so many of you, it's good for, you see, if you divide yourself among so many groups, that's a recipe for losing an election.
Okay.
Well, first of all,
what is the difference between the JEMA and the NUP?
No, before I get there, because as you know, they will not allow anybody space.
But you allow space.
No, they will not allow anybody space to engage the citizenry on ideas. They will not allow.
So you don't
and the reason why probably Moses does not know the difference is because there is virtually no platform to engage on those differences. It's not there. Because you can ask Moses the last time a political party in Uganda outside campaign time was allowed to hold a rally. The last time.
But here
he knows.
You are being listened to by more people.
No, but this is not a rally. Because those ideas, it is about engaging the citizenry. Okay? It's about engaging the citizenry. So the fact that you don't even allow ideas to flourish, you are right not to know them. Because how would you be able to know them if there is no opportunity for ideas to flourish? Number two, you are laboring to give the formation of political parties in the West. The liberals, the conservatives, the leftists, the rightists. I agree with you. Their history and our history is definitely very different, and you will appreciate it. For example, when you say political parties here were based on identity, I want to tell you that the way people are marginalized is the way people will organize. When the British came here to colonize us, we organized as blacks to fight for independence. It didn't mean we were racists. The argument was that we were being marginalized as blacks, as Africans. So we organized as Africans.
On an idea of self-rule.
So, if, for example, you marginalize me as a Muslim in the country, be sure that are most likely to mobilize Muslims to fight that marginalization. And when that happens, you cannot blame me for being for politics of identity. So it is the conditions obtaining that most probably will lead to organization along what you call either tribes or religions.
But from the onset, were parties founded on ideology?
They were.
What is JEMA's ideology?
Well, ours is justice for all. That's our ideology.
That is a slogan.
No. What you see, as I told you, the word ideology is very elastic. In fact,
that is a slogan.
No. And how does a slogan differ from an ideology? How? I don't want you to fall into the trap of Moses of telling Ugandans that parties don't have an ideology. What is an ideology?
Because you don't have it.
What is an ideology? It's a very elastic term, I have told you. Very elastic.
And
these scholars of political science, nobody. And I will tell you, nobody.
Okay, is change an ideology in itself?
It is. So because Moses here was saying
the ideology of the opposition is change.
Simon, Moses here was saying that, you see, they are after Museveni going. Okay? What is wrong with having an agenda of having Mr. Museveni leave power? What is wrong? Is it criminal? I think the problem would be doing it unconstitutionally. But nobody should shy away from the fact that the opposition actually wants the NRM out of power.
In fact, Simon, with Basalirwa's narrative, NRM is going to stay here much longer. In fact, your narrative strengthens me in NRM. It shows the level
are in trial, or rather in incarceration, and there is a bit of a stalemate, even though Honorable Basalirwa insists that it's a figment of our own imagination. But do you see what the future holds for the opposition political parties?
Well, the fate that is befalling the opposition, or that has befallen the opposition, is the same fate that will befall the country. In situations where there is no respect for rule of law, no one is safe. Don't think that senior presidential advisor Moses here is safe.
Special.
Senior, yes. Yes, senior presidential advisor. Don't think he is safe. In a situation of disrespect for the rule of law, nobody is safe. Simon, you can be picked here in a drone after the show. Basalirwa can be picked in a drone after the show. So is Moses. So this should worry all of us.
Who would pick Moses anyway?
It could be
thought he's part of the
No. It could be the army. It could be the police. When
he breaks the law.
Well, whether he has, the explanations will come later.
Okay. Does the case of Lukwago come off as a case study on what lies ahead for opposition politics?
Actually, beyond Lukwago, the other day, State Minister for Local Government, Namere, was picked under very unclear circumstances. That's why I said nobody is safe. So the case of Lukwago, Erias, is merely a manifestation of the bigger challenge we confront as a country. And that calls for all of us to get involved. Because when there is no respect for human rights, nobody is safe. You can be comfortable, but the comfort is temporary. Because at the end of it all, you are not so sure.
Moses, how concerned are you about the manner and the circumstances surrounding Lukwago's abduction?
Well, I don't want to use the word abduction. Because
what was it?
It was arrest. Now, you see, what we are missing is we need more training of our security forces in human rights. There's no doubt about that. But for them, when they say you're going for so and so, they will make sure that person is received and handed over to those concerned.
Do you want to call that? Do you want to call that an arrest?
Wait. So if
the military arrest.
Well. You see, in a situation where we are keeping security, the most important thing is life. Somebody could be mishandled. It's unfortunate that somebody could be mishandled. But the most important thing is that, for me, the way I look at that is we need more training, which is a fact, of our security forces in how you handle people on human rights grounds and so on and so forth, so that we follow the due process.
You agree this was gross?
To the end. So, at the end of the day, NRM is committed to human rights. And you know where it got this country from. We shall never go back to that. But we need to improve on the training of our personnel so that they are in line with the international system.
Moses, that was pandagari. That was abduction.
Listen. That's your word. I also know English. Me, it's an arrest. We should improve on the manner. But for me, the most important thing, what is somebody being arrested for? So let's wait for the case in the court. In the meantime, we should follow what Asuman started with in the beginning, having someone and so on and so on and so forth. The way it is laid in our courts, in our court system, in our laws, but
it speaks to something going on.
When it comes to observance of human rights, the NRM is number one on that. It's in our line. But that doesn't stop that as you progress, somehow you get challenges along the way which you need to clean up. So people should know that they are safe. Nobody is unsafe.
Do you want to treat this, speaking of people in drones, in isolation?
What I'm saying,
it's becoming a hallmark of the regime.
No, that shall be dealt with. But the most important thing is nobody is just being killed. Like in the past, somebody would be picked and never seen again.
Where's Chibalama?
Like never seen again.
You know where Chibalama is?
Well, I've had stories. I don't know how to go them into now. I've had some stories. Because there are people, when you follow closely, who are said to have disappeared here, but they are somewhere in some capitals around the world. Have you heard about that? The people in other capitals around the world. I don't want to go into that detail. So, but the most important thing is the NRM is committed to rule of law. Where there are challenges, we shall sort them out along the way and clean up the system, train our security forces to do better all the time. But at least they also work through the court system.
Do you find something fundamentally telling about the current state of affairs?
Let me finish. The current state
where
of affairs,
a leader of opposition is picked in the drone very early in the morning.
Well, there's no time for picking.
Then someone comes out and boasts that he is learning Swahili.
There is no time for picking. For me, the most important thing now, Lukwago, we're talking about, is in the courts of law. It has been handed over to court. He's with his lawyers. Now, if the state has no case against him, that will be proved in court. If it has a case against him, that's also be proved in court. The way, if there were mistakes, the way he was arrested, that's regrettable. But the most important thing is he's in the hands of the law.
Well, Honorable Asuman, does the predicament of Lukwago epitomize the state of affairs of the country? Or it is just overhyped?
I don't want to... let me make the statement I made earlier. That this is a continuation. It's more of the same. It's a continuation of the issues we've been grappling with historically. And the danger it creates, by the way, and I'm glad that Moses recognizes the fact that maybe perhaps security needs more training in human rights. And if there are mistakes, they must be corrected.
So you want to call this an operational lapse?
The danger, maybe according to him, but the danger it creates, if you don't streamline matters of arrest, matters of what, rogue elements will take advantage. That's the biggest danger. And that's why we must be extremely careful. If we are not able to differentiate between lawful and unlawful arrest, if we are not able to tell who orders an arrest, over what and under what circumstances, then the biggest danger is that rogue elements could easily take advantage of the situation. And that, in my view, is more worrying than the actual situation that happened or will continue to happen. So for me, the bigger call to all of us is for us to streamline or adhere to the law. It's really as simple as that. That is a call some of us have been making for a very long time. And I only pray that our colleagues in the government, the NRM party, take this call very seriously. Because when there is disrespect for the law, everybody is a victim. This is something our colleagues don't appreciate. Simon, I represented one of the NRM MPs, the 3 who had been arrested over allegations of extortion. We were at the anti-corruption court. The manner in which he was arrested, Honorable Wakamba, I was there seeing. It was as if he had really committed genocide. So why is there a lot of anger? Why the force? It's something nobody can explain.
Okay.
Why?
The arrest symptomizes anger. On whose part?
No, what I'm saying, why that anger? Why would and in the case that I am giving, incidentally, even the president commented on it somewhere. Why would a person who seemingly is not violent, is not resisting arrest?
And that's why I said, Mr. Asuman, I said we need more training. We need more training for those security forces in human rights, in the law, and so on and so forth. You know, so that in the future, because you see, democracy is a process, not an event, and I think we are moving well. Rule of law is also, enforcement of rule of law is also a process. If you look at the countries which would say democratic, sometimes you also get cases where the security forces don't perform well, and the question is, how would you follow them up? So for me, if we train more and people understand,
do you find
better,
the arrest of Lukwago detestable?
Well, I haven't seen any video of it, so I cannot comment on what I've not seen. I wasn't there. I wasn't there. So, but the most important thing is we need.
There is the video.
Yeah, but that video. What are you seeing?
There is the video of his arrest.
Yeah. I wouldn't make my comments just based on what you are seeing there, because for me, the most important thing, as I said earlier, it is training. We need more training of our people, like it has been done in developed countries. It is a question of training, and enforcement to ensure that what you have been trained in is what you are practicing.
Yeah, but this sums up the government's attitude towards the opposition.
In Uganda, I don't know how many people have been arrested on a daily basis. If you are 1,000 cases before police, if one incident, their mistakes have been made, doesn't mean it is gross. That's what's happening everywhere. Somebody who has been arrested in Gulu, somebody who was arrested in Karamoja and everywhere, that they are all being, there's the problems in arresting. I don't think so. So, where there are few incidents, a case has been not well handled, we shall improve on it. There's no doubt about it.
Could the opposition be riding on the arrest of Lukwago for political capital?
Well, no, it's a good point out where we have not done well, and we improve. That's part of the opposition work, where we're not